Hey there, this is Felix from Goldammer Vintage Watches, and in today's video we want to talk about the broad world of patinated vintage watches. We want to speak about what is and what causes patina, where does this trend come from, and what is the difference between patina and damage. So let's check the intro and get into today's video. 25 plus years ago, the vintage watch market, such as it was, didn't value watches with patina. Or, in other words, watches that showed their age were very uninteresting and had a very little demand. Back then, a watch that had many traces of use did not match the taste of time. And it was completely normal to have watches with signs of wear restored. In other words, before vintage watches start carrying more substantial values, the whole point was to buy what you liked and put no thought into the rest of it. With this basic mindset in place, it was definitely understandable that there was less emphasis on originality. But over the past few decades, the vintage watch market has seen an interesting aesthetic shift. Collectors desire to move away from watches that have been restored and polished to look like new in favor of watches in original condition with an honest patina. So what changed? There was a broad evolution in collecting across many different categories to prefer original, untouched and unrestored pieces compared to those made to look like new. For example, heavily restored cars, paintings and even coins become much harder to sell, and this trend also goes for vintage watches. As with many trends, it's hard to track the exact origin of this appreciation. You'll hear collectors speaking often about the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi, which means the acceptance of imperfection. This type of aesthetic has its own allure, and much of it is centered on the philosophy that beauty is impermanent and imperfect. Patina may technically be damage, but it is the damage that makes this object so beautiful in the eye of the beholder. In Japan, this wabi-sabi concept has affected watch collecting for many years, particularly in regard to vintage Rolex sports watches like GMT Masters and Submariners. This trend towards seeking honest patina has extended worldwide, particularly over the last few years, and is associated with the massive growth in the number of vintage watch collectors. So let's talk about the basics. What is patina? The word patina comes from the Italian patina, which can be translated in shallow layer of a deposit on its surface, derived from the Latin patina, what means pan shallow dish. Figuratively, patina can refer to any fading, darkening, or other signs of age. In nature, the patina is usually representative of the age of an object. It is created through a chemical reaction between the suspended particles in the air and the particles on which they are deposited. Put simply, patina is a natural oxidation aging process that occurs over time on different metals like the hands, the bezels, the dials, and so on. It creates a thin layer that can render in a variety of colors, from the classic green finish we all recognize on copper to deep natural shades and even rainbow hues. For example, the famous Statue of Liberty gets its famous green color from the natural patina formed on its copper surface. But how do these deposits get on our watches? There are many factors that cause patina in watches, and they vary from timepiece to timepiece. The aging on your watch is mainly influenced by light, like sun exposure, moisture, oxidation, use, and materials. Contact with water, oils, extreme heat, and various liquid chemicals can also alter the appearance of a watch dial. However, a color change, even a very aesthetically pleasing one that occurs during an isolated incident, is not the same thing as patina that slowly develops due to the unavoidable passage of time. The more a watch is worn and the more exposure to sun and moisture, the faster your watch will age. The materials of your watch also play a large role in the appearance of the patina. Aluminium hands will wear faster than those treated from luminescence, just as a leather band will show more wear than a metal one. A dial with radium or tritium hands will fade the dial much faster and a different way than only sun exposure. Some see patina as the holy grail of vintage. But what is patina and what is not? There are many ways how patina can change the look of a watch. But for us, there are two ways it can go: attractive and even, and unattractive and uneven. Patina can be stunning, but it can also look quite scruffy, and if that is the case, our view is that there is no pleasure in wearing what appears on the surface to be just a grubby, old, dirty watch. Everyone has its own definition of the term. But in our mind, what is attractive with patina is the uniformity of the decoloration, the originality of the shade, or simply its location on the dial. Patina on a watch is also a testimony confirming that the watch lived. Wearing it is a statement that it is still beating after all these years and that it was born in the past and will be still used in the future. In our opinion, the difference between damage and patina lies in the eye of the beholder. For us, an important fact is that the patina is even, and so it makes the whole watch to a unique piece of art. But of course, an appreciation and willingness to pay for patina are about more than just aesthetics. People also love a good story, and that story extends to the stories of objects. When we look at faded dials, aged hands, and our indexes, we often ask ourselves where this thing has been, what it has seen, and what is the story behind it. If you have a watch that you want to look more vintage, the best thing to do is wear it regularly. The more you expose the watch to light, humidity, and everyday interactions with environment, you will speed up the aging process. So that's all for today. We hope you enjoyed this short look behind the curtain of patina, collect some information you haven't heard before, and yep, have a great day and hope to see you in our next video.